many fans you were in this shit.
Hello and welcome back to the exciting conclusion of the 2023 Swedish Open. This is round 3 back 9 FPO lead card coverage brought to you by MDG Media, with only 9 holes remaining between this lead card and our champion and podium positions being crowned. The action is sure to be exciting. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, once again, Elias Luukkonen.
What's up, viewers? Let's take a look at the top 10. After the front 9, there's a bit of a change in the leaderboard. Leader, obviously still the same as in Silva Saarinen. Struggling a bit on the front 9, but Sofie Björlycke playing a hot, steamy hot -3 front 9, overtaking that second place in the competition, just behind her, couple strokes behind Lykke, Lorentzen and Anniken, Steen.
Yeah, Sofie really could do no wrong in the front 9. We'll see if she carries that momentum here into the back 9, starting on hole 10.
Yeah, hole 10. Very birdieable hole, 74 meters. Need to throw something pretty low to avoid that slight low ceiling. You have some good airspace, but you can't throw it as high as you want to. Many players are trying to throw something slightly understable or something on a slight anhyzer to match that slight bend to the right of the fairway.
Sofie still holding the box. This has a lot of speed and height, but settles really nicely, just 5 or 6 meters right of the basket, I think, perfectly pin high. Great pace and angle control to ensure that that doesn't flex out at the end and push long. We'll see Lykke here try to show us the forehand line, likely looking to flip it up to flat softly and then getting a late finish just like that, buttery smooth.
Wow, that was beautiful. I believe we haven't seen any forehands on this hole in the past rounds, but obviously a great play with the right finish. Anniken trying to match that, but that's an early release, a tough early release on this hole that really suits Anniken's left-hand throw.
Silva now looking like a really nice soft turnover the whole way. Just held that one angle, flattened out, got a little bit of slide. See her throwing that judge, I believe, in classic. Soft, a nice shot there.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice hole. I feel like a very satisfying line to hit when you get that perfect turn, or obviously hyzer with forehand or left hand, backhand. It's a very satisfying shot. Anniken throws a good scramble there inside the circle. Still the furthest out from the basket. Let's see if she can make this par putt, and she does. Very smooth.
She's also been really lethal on the greens so far, giving good bids from circle 2 and some solid chains from circle 1. We see Sofie there with a slight misfire on the green, and Silva connecting for her birdie, making sure to not let anyone get too close to her good lead position.
Yeah, that's a surprising miss.
Lykke here.
Surprising miss from Sofie, I think, especially since she was making a lot of those great birdies on the front 9 by putting some great putts in the basket, even from far distance. So having that short putt is really surprising. And yes, as you said, Lykke with a great birdie as well. Moving on to hole 11. 89 meters. It's a very specific shape. You have to throw straight through this gap off the tee, and at about 55 meters or 60 meters down the fairway, you have to take a sharp turn to the right, but still you have to glide about 30 meters towards the far right side of the fairway. So it's a very specific angle you have to throw. Many people are trying to throw something pretty high with the right hand, hopefully either with a forehand hyzer or some sort of a turnover that just holds the angle.
Lykke trying to play the overstable hyzer forehand, but I think a little bit low. I'd guess she'd rather prefer that nose up, both to ensure the early fade as well as the glide to the right. That one firing a bit straight. Also pushing that back tree line. She's fortunate to not find any trouble. Still fading in time. She's at the bottom of the hill. This is the more traditional line for the right-handed player, although I think much harder to get purely. Silva with a slightly overturned shot, cut rolls on the hill, but still within a long putting distance.
Yeah, there's not a lot of trouble on this hole. It's very easy to par even with the errant shot, but the birdie is just... It's hard to get this drive inside the circle, as we see Sofie fading out early. That's another common mistake, as it's hard to get that angle all the way to the right if you don't turn it early.
Anniken here, playing quite friendly for the left-handed hyzer. She's given this height, but pushing quite far forwards. She gets shut down by one of those early guardians at the mouth of that second tunnel off the rightwards bend. And you see now, she has a good slope to try and give this one a bit an attack. I think no reason to come up short here. And she did exactly that, a really nice attempt just over the top.
Yeah, I really love that effort. Knowing the course, knowing the greens, and no more than 4 meters left from there. Sofie almost falling to the small creek between the path and the fairway. Luckily, not doing that and just under the basket there. Let's see if these other players can also give some great runs here. As I said, a very safe putt to run. No reason not to run this. And sets up for some good highlights.
Lykke looking for her highlight there. Just a little bit quick on the fade to the left. And touching again on Sofie's putt. She's shown absolute commitment. She's a player who really doesn't like to lay up or half commit to something. She always gives it her all, both on the throw and the putt. And Silva gives it her all and a little bit more, snagging the birdie from down there in circle 2, catching lower left side. A great 2 to walk away with here. And with holes running out now and Silva looking to be well put together, snagging first 2 holes on this back 9, both as a birdie, she could be looking now to cement her lead and shut down any chasers.
Yeah, especially right now when there is only 7 holes left. So, she has an 8-stroke lead with 7 holes to go. And I feel like that's kind of the point where you start feeling very confident about your chances of winning. Although there is still a lot of trouble to be had. Hole 12 here, 161. Par 4. It's one of the, more manageable par 4s. Really just need to stay on the wood chips on this fairway. Doesn't really matter whether you get 80 meters or 100 meters or more. It just makes the angle of the approach slightly easier, but most important here, stay on the fairway. From there you're gonna have some sort of either a flex backhand approach for the right hand, or if you get very far down the fairway, straight shot, even a hyzer approach.
We see there Silva just a little bit off to the right side rough, not quite keeping it on the mulch. I think anything within the fairway is a fine place, as you touched on that. This par 4 is not too long, so really just needing to keep one in the middle. Lykke there with quite a soft, smooth-looking shot, although still turning it over, comes up also short and to the right side.
Yeah, the right side.
Quite a surprisingly fast overturn, considering how soft she looked to throw that, although I think it came out flat.
Yeah, probably going with something pretty understable. The right side is really not ideal if you go early right. If you go late right, it's really not a problem, but going that early is a lot of problems. As we see Sofie fading out to the opposite side. That's the left side of the fairway, which is a pretty good place to be. It's might have to go with a standstill shot with those rocks and many sort of plants on the fairway on that left side, but still a good position, as is Anniken as well, just on the wood chips there.
Great view of the rough there, just how dense and lush the forests are here in southern Sweden at this time of year, but good upshot to get out of the trickiness. Anniken now just pushing that last tree to bend around the corner, connecting with it. She'll be left at that jump putt range. She's shown to be comfortable giving it a bid from there, although still a very demanding putt. And Sofie from the left side hits the same tree, actually. You can see the specific late turning flight for the right-handed player required to hit that angle.
Silva trying to go all the way through the woods here. Very risky play and gets hit by that risk this time, unfortunately. Still having to probably scramble from there. And Lykke with a less than ideal approach, throwing it straight towards the left side woods. That's a very thick rough to be in, and we'll see if she has any shot to the basket. As Silva throws a great touchy standstill putter there. It's a good saving scramble shot.
Yeah, I think fortunate to make it far enough up on the right side. She could take that little shortcut through a fairly big gap. As we see a short pitch up there from Anniken. We'll be left with about 5 or 6. Sofie here. I think she's going to try and give this one a soft bid. I think still outside putting range. It's a soft throw. But she gives this one all the height and the pace. And she really did want that one. That was really close. Solid bid from considering how far. I think well outside circle too.
Yeah, that was a beautiful run. Lykke here. Also throwing a very well controlled scramble forehand anhyzer. Not a long distance, but those shots can be tricky, especially with those tight gaps. And Anniken, good power putt there. You can see some of that gallery, even in the early day here, coming to watch some of the best players in Europe compete on this, one of the biggest events in Sweden that they have held in a few years. Talked to a couple of the locals and they said that it's definitely the biggest event they have had in the last couple of years. So good job by Sweden here.
Yeah, the scene in Sweden's in a really amazing spot, and I encourage all disc golfers in Europe to spend some time to go check it out.
Moving on to hole 13. Only 86 meters, playing just slightly uphill. Players are looking to throw some sort of straight shot here with either a mid-range or a fairway driver. Try to avoid this middle tree. You can really choose whether you want to go right side of it or left side of it. Hopefully make your way into this basket with a very interesting green configuration with a lot of rocks and many trees inside the circle. So a lot of difficult footing and difficult putts to be had on this hole.
Yeah, great intentional design. I will say, in my experience, one thing about playing on courses just like this one in Sweden is you do beat your discs in pretty quick between the trees and the rocks, but love how thoughtful and considerate they are of using the terrain, using the beautiful geography they have to shape their course design and their layouts. It's amazing as we see a shot there that's slightly overturned, bouncing off the banner from Sofie.
Yeah.
Silva on the box, also with not a perfect shot, but I think still a very salvageable 3. We'll see Anniken here look to pierce through with the left-handed line. The height just catching her out there a touch too low.
Yeah, everybody kind of leaving it short to right side there. Let's see if Lykke can get it inside the circle here. Looks to be going with a D4 on this hole. Going right at the middle tree, needs to miss it and just barely does not. It's a very common tree to hit as it is kind of in the middle of the perfect line. Really have to choose either to go left or right of that. That's a decent approach from there inside the circle. Only about 5 meters left.
Yeah, soft bid, I think. She settled it nicely. Anniken also giving it that soft bid, really characteristic putt from her there, from way downtown. Gives it a chance, but sits it very close to the basket. Silva with an anhyzer release and tons of height, flashing chains, but not quite catching any. You can really sense a palpable sort of urgency. All of these players realize that the holes are running out and the podium positions do matter. Anniken and Lykke currently tied at even. Sofie in that second place at 2 under. Every throw and every putt here is incredibly important for the context and result of this event.
Yeah, for the pride and for the finish, but also just for the prize money. This was, I believe, one of the biggest prize money events in Europe. So there was, I believe, between MPO and FPO, there was over 40,000 euros in the prize pot. So the difference between, for example, second and third or third and fourth spot is a lot of money, possibly even many €100.
Incredible. It's all on the line here. The biggest stage, the Euro Tour. We move to 14.
Yeah, 14 playing uphill 98 meters. Height control very important here, as you have that low or high floor with the uphill grade and also a low ceiling. You can either choose to go with a bit of a straighter shot or a bit more of a turnover shot, talking about right-hand, backhand approach here. Obviously Anniken probably gonna go with the flat hyzer here. As you can see, the two middle trees here, you have to decide either to go right side of them, as Silva is doing, or left. Silva obviously not quite hitting her gap there, hits one of the early trees and kicks left, and this might be a chance for some of these other players to get some strokes on Silva.
Sofie there, also not with enough height to battle the whole way. You really want to match the grade of the hill, but not go too much higher than that in order to push both the distance and maintain the nose angle. We'll see Anniken here look to correct, looking very focused. She has taken only pars here so far on the back nine. And this one is slightly overturned, had a lot of snap on the release as well as a flat release. I think not quite getting the nose up on that flight. Lykke here to try and find this tough line on 14.
Looks to be a very good shot there, although as she's going with a fast disc, a D4 there, fading out strongly at the end. Looks like Silva actually has a very simple approach from here. I thought she was a little bit shorter on the fairway. Throws decent shot there, just about 6 meters left, should be no problem for her. Especially with that 8-stroke lead, which I believe does definitely bring some confidence to the game.
Nice bid there, fading out just a little bit early. You can see some of these man-made obstacles coming into play, this protection around that small sapling. Anniken trying to play over that, having to play close to it, given that she's playing the left-handed forehand hyzer approach and settles luckily just before that OB. Sofie looking to give it a bid from way deep, and in the end just a safe layup. Nothing too dangerous there.
Yeah, looks like a lot of short putts for par here, as Silva bangs it just below the top band there. You can see almost a bit of a light-hearted approach, especially after the putt with that reaction. I believe she's kind of calming down, knowing that with 4 holes to go and 8 strokes of a lead, she would have to mess up real big in order to melt down that lead. Anniken with a decent par there, very common result on this hole, as we see, I believe, everybody on the card taking the par on this hole 14.
Yeah, extremely common. 75% of players taking par on 14, and in fact, no birdies taken here on this final round, so a 3 still very much keeping you competitive and at pace with even the best players in the field on that hole. We move to 15.
Yeah, hole 15, probably creating much more scoring separation, as the gap early is very tight, only 3 meters wide. After you hit this gap, you have to move slightly to the right before this backside tree is coming into play. There's OB on the left side, only about 5 meters left of the basket, so many players are trying to play ideally slightly right off the basket and hopefully take that scary putt back towards OB. But most important here, obviously, hitting that gap. As looks like Silva has done just perfectly. Great angle there, and she's in the circle.
Yeah, not just in the circle, but even pushing near to that bullseye. That's an amazing shot, really hitting that line on a rope. We'll see Sofie here try to match. I think you really can go with 2 options here. A more stable disc released on Anheuser. Sofie sneaks towards that OB, although no graphic shown, she may have kept it safe. You can try to flip something over with a more understable shape, but the Anheuser release with a stable to fading disc, perhaps playing a little bit more naturally, but really touchy, ensuring that you have the right amount of turn. For the right-handed player, Anniken with a slight early release, still in the initial tree line, and Lykke here opting for that forehand, also just battling out of the initial tunnel. still work to the green.
Yeah. Lykke quite often going with that forehand when other right-handed players going for that turnover approach. It's great to see the variety in the game in this field, as we see Anniken playing a very safe approach. Very much right of the basket, and gonna have a scary putt towards the OB, only a few meters behind the basket from that angle.
Lykke with a funky bounce off that rock there, flipping it up to flat and then a soft roll, not quite getting the bounce forwards she may have expected, but still very much within a comfortable putting range. We see Sofie here taking her meter off the OB line and firing just right of the basket. She knows that Anniken and Lykke are not taking birdies, so she is safe to simply take a 3 here. She's still sitting 2 strokes above both of them, and Anniken with a bid from the bushes right side there. Very important putts, especially for Lykke here, to try and snag this one.
Great looking
And
putt.
so close.
Wow, that was great looking putt. Even with that strong left to right wind, as this is one of the windier greens on the course, and possibly that wind getting into Silva's head there, leaving that disc a little bit low. Obviously a better miss to leave it low than go over the basket and challenge that OB. Sofie with the par there. Silva also with a par, and looks like Anniken and Lykke are gonna both take the bogey on this hole. Very short hole, but as you saw, the early gap is tight to hit, and if you miss it, it's almost an instant bogey many of the times. Hole number 16, playing at 92 meters, slightly uphill. It's a very tight hole and getting tighter towards the end. You want to throw something straight towards these trees you see on the left, and hopefully finish right just before them. Either a forehand for the right-handed or a left-hand backhand, or obviously the right hand you can also go with some sort of a turnover. Pretty difficult hole to park, but very often do we see players in circle 2 on this hole.
Yeah, I really like that slightly narrowing fairway in terms of design, really encouraging super accurate angle control, and these late gaps requiring a great precision as well as power going uphill at 92. We see an early release from Sofie there, but look at the double kick. She's playing ping pong on the course, back and forth, settles in the fairway.
Yeah, and we saw Silva throwing towards that right side of the fairway. There's OB right off all of those trees, actually pretty close to the basket, so something to keep in mind as Anniken grip locks it into the first tree on the left. Gonna be a very difficult approach from there. And Lykke also going very far left. Couple of pretty surprising misses on this hole. The first gap is not insanely tight, only getting very tight towards the end of the fairway.
Yeah, I would say it's quite generous. I mean, you see on the right side of frame here how much space there is to work with. I think none of them hitting the intended line. Anniken up first with a nice shot, pushing right up there into the circle, still with that elevated basket to contend with though. And Lykke now from this position, one behind Anniken, important here on hole 16 if she wants to continue to battle for that third place spot currently, to try and get this one close, and she has done just that, left it a similar distance, although slightly up the hill compared to Anniken.
Yeah, couple of very good approaches there. Important to be close to this elevated basket, especially with the OB quite near, actually inside the circle on the right side of the basket. Sofie hitting that last Guardian Rock, very unique element we have on this hole, a Guardian Rock instead of a Guardian Tree, still inside the circle there. Silva, just a good approach there, leaving herself just 7 meters there. Important putt here.
crucial moment that unfortunately Anniken comes up short, gives it a little bit too much grip there coming off the left side. Silva cashing that one in for par. I think she still is not feeling any pressure at this point, able to just enjoy these final holes and walk towards the end of this round 3 performance. Well, you will see Sofie now, although a short putt, also not feeling any pressure, or if she is rather, not letting that affect her there. She's been really strong on the green despite a few small mistakes. Her circle 2 has been great this round, and Lykke there securing the par, meaning that her and Anniken will be contending on these last 2 holes. We see her routine here, not leaving any room for error. Anniken secures the bogey and Lykke the par as they swap seats.
Hole 17. Very pretty looking 97-meter hole. You're playing slightly downhill over this path. Need to hit this first pretty wide gap. Have the OB on the right side. Trying to throw something pretty straight. Hopefully land it just before the basket and slide your way up there. A little bit of a slope behind and on the left side of the basket. It's a pretty manageable hole and all of these players are trying to get the birdie here.
We see Silva up first, hyzering out early. She kicks off the trees, although right side is OB, left side is quite simply some rough, more of a natural OB situation. We'll see Sofie here look to make the correction, and this is quite turned. I do not think it's able to fight back in bounds. She will find an OB penalty stroke. She's in a fairly comfortable position, 4 strokes ahead of Anniken and Lykke, but I'm sure she doesn't want to give up any part of that small lead in her second place position. Lykke now. There's a nice correction.
With a good birdie here, both Lykke and Anniken possibly putting themselves into position for that second place, as looks like Lykke has done with a very smooth shot, just barely short left, but well in the circle. Anniken with a bit more of a difficult shot with the left hand, having to flip something over. But that looks to have been a very, very good shot there, just fading out before the basket, inside the circle as well. And yeah, great shots in the big situation there, looking to make that push for the second place.
Absolutely. We see Silva pitching out, but still finding herself unable to break free of the rough back into the open. You see what she's left with here. And although she hasn't had her best round here on the final day, we do still have to give her a great commendation for having 2 incredible rounds, giving her the flexibility required to come in here and still take down what looks to be her next win. As she gives that par save a floaty bid off the top, she'll have a bogey tap in.
Lykke here to get 2 strokes on Sofie, and she does it. That's a great putt, still giving herself the opportunity for second place. Anniken trying to do the same here. Tough green with this wind, but she penetrates through the wind with that spinny nose-up delivery. Great putt there.
We see Silva coming back for bogey now, as these players are all set in their position, moving into the final hole of the Swedish Open 2023. Everything will be decided in just a moment. Exciting.
Yes, hole 18 not being one of the easier ones. A lot of opportunity on this hole for multiple stroke swings. It's 185-meter par 4. There's this rock wall on the right side that lines the OB, so you have to stay left of that. Also, on the left you see the Mando tree, you have to navigate right of that Mando tree. So, pretty skinny landing zone there. And once you make your way down the hill into the landing zone, you still have 80, 90, even 100-meter approach to this left to right uphill sloping green. That even sets up for some highlights, as with the slope of the green, many players can even run it for the long eagle or the long birdie if their second shot is a bit shorter.
And they may be encouraged to do just that, leaving everything on the line now. Lykke up first with a really nice looking tee shot. She pushes straight and then hyzers out a touch early around the corner, but keeping it very safe, and I think still some distance. Birdie should still be in play, although she might be slightly pinched on the angle. I think she'll be all right with that lie. We see Anniken here playing the forehand. Hyzer gets lifted into the wind going downhill. She threw a touch nose up and pays the price there, not getting too much distance.
Left side miss definitely better than the right side miss. As we see Sofie pulling it to the right and kicking far left. Not a lot of distance with that drive, and gonna be a very difficult par from there, possibly giving both Anniken and Lykke a bit more of a chance for that second place push. As we see Silva also going to the left side, high part of the fairway, dropping down. Nobody really with the perfect drive here. Gonna set up for some difficult, scrambly second shots, as Anniken is trying to here with the forehand.
And still catching some rough on her way. We'll see now where Sofie is left with off that initial kick. She had the late release that kicked her back towards the left side, and you can see how difficult that stance is remaining for her. Simply needing to try and pitch out, although she too is left still in the rough with quite a precise angle required if she wants to try and progress up the fairway. Silva here. Big spiking hyzer. Nice.
Yeah, perfectly in the middle of the fairway there. And from there, that's exactly the position where you can kind of run the basket even. Anniken here just trying to pitch it up the fairway as far as possible. Also in a good position there. Probably a good chance to get up and down from there. Sofie really has to get some good distance from here if she wants to secure that second place finish.
And she's done enough, I think, to give herself an open look to the green to attack on her next shot. We see Lykke here, I believe, off her tee shot. Really a nice placement. All those shots thrown, and now she's finally here for her second. She's had the privilege of seeing Anniken battle her way up the left side rough. That's a really nice shot there that puts herself in an amazing position that may have just secured her that second place here at the Swedish Open.
Anniken here. Let's see if she runs it for the basket for that great throw-in. Not really, but still within putting distance just outside the circle there. You can see the wind picking up. It's one of the windier greens on the course as well, bringing in some extra elements as Silva looks to be kind of running this. Wow, that was a great shot. Settles just 5 meters from the basket to get that second Euro Tour win of the season.
Yeah, you love to see it, the confidence to go for it. I think, as I mentioned earlier, Silva likely just having fun here, enjoying this final round and the holes remaining. Anniken now with an important putt just inside the circle but going uphill. The gallery just behind the chains for her, and you see the tailwinds just drop her disc out of the hand. Lykke now. Floating one just over the top, in fact, but I think coming back for that par putt should be enough for her.
Anniken just tapping in, unfortunate double bogey on this last hole, but it's definitely one of the holes that has a big chance for those big numbers, such as double bogeys. Lykke here, you can see the wind absolutely ripping from left to right from her angle.
There you go.
That's a great putt for the par there. You can see the gallery just loves it. There was a good gallery watching these best players in Europe play on the beautiful Ymergårdens course.
Yeah, even with some imperfect weather, both for playing and spectating, speaks to the commitment and enthusiasm from the Swedish locals to get out there in the rain, in the wind, as we see Sofie put that one in for bogey. A good approach to leave a short putt. Her and Lykke both tied at even here on 18. Exciting conclusion. Anniken unfortunately struggling. And Silva Saarinen putting that in, your 2023 Swedish Open champion a commanding performance and an incredible pace of a champion putting two together in a row.
Swedish Open champion in the FPO division, Silva Saarinen.
Congratulations to Silva, absolutely destroying the field by 8 strokes here. It's impressive, young player, huge potential in the future as well.
Okay, it will be a prize ceremony pretty soon up in the tee area of hole 1. First some interviews, of course, so see you there.
Congratulations once again to Silva Saarinen. Incredible poise and composure. She's shown to be able to take the lead early and be very comfortable in that solo lead position, shutting down anyone from chasing her. She puts together 2 wins in a row on the PDGA Euro Tour, Krokol, and now as well the Swedish Open. As we see the final standings, you see that 8-stroke lead that you touched on, Elias. Sofie and Lykke with an exciting battle to the very end, both tying in second at even, and Anniken, as a result, falling to 4th. What an incredible tournament and an incredible venue for disc golf. Thank you once again to all of the workers, volunteers, tournament directors who helped to put this together. And Elias, thank you for joining me on this exciting coverage.
Thank you, Connor, and thank you for everybody for watching. Leave us a comment, telling us what you think of the coverage. See you guys in the next event, hopefully next week.